The Unwanted Undead Adventure, Episode 3, I think proves that this is unlike anything else this anime season. What should be just a typical fantasy adventure show has already turned into something that's exploring the concept of, is someone actually still themselves when they get brought back from the dead? Is he about to turn into a flesh-eating monster? And what other type of worldly adventures are we going to explore with something that has such a realistic charm to such a fantasy, whimsical-driven narrative? This show is incredible, and before we jump into the amazing content that was this episode, I have to give some thanks to all of you watching. Now maybe this is your first time watching, you're like, damn, I deserve thanks already, I must be incredible. You probably are, but I said last week, I wasn't sure if the demand was here for this show. And sure, things can change over time. You answer the call, you heard the blowhorn and you said, listen, grab your swords, we need to go off to battle, and you made that video do quite well. So well, apparently, I had people telling me that they weren't even subscribed to my channel, and they were getting bell notifications about that video. That's how well you did for that video. I don't know what the hell you did, but I appreciate you. As long as I keep seeing support for a show like this, you know I'm going to keep on covering it on YouTube, so I appreciate you, and I want to know that I see that level of support. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate you. You don't always listen to my amazing recommendations, but sometimes, especially with the fantasy ones, you typically do, so I see ya. Now, like I said, this episode, incredible. I don't know if I have a favorite episode between 2 and 3. I think they both did something interesting for me, but honestly, in a way, I actually think I hooked into this episode more. Sure, we don't get to see our girl from last week, but Lorraine and Rent were just such a power combo, and just how much they're already giving me these thought-provoking questions. How could I not be hooked in wanting at least 24 episodes of a show like this? Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful episode over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see my full and good thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. Now, this is a very special show. It's not something relying on gimmicks, it's not really relying on tropes, it's a pure cut-and-dry fantasy-driven show with a character who, yes, wanted to be a very powerful warrior, didn't really have the body to do so, but hit the books, knew so much so that he actually taught Lorraine, this doctor who basically can cast fireballs extraordinaire, and actually wanted his help. So we have like that emotional connection. But the thing about this show is that it's the farthest thing from being actually dry and boring. It technically is a cut and dry fantasy show. No tropes, no gimmicks, just pure fantasy. But there's something about the way Rent is as a character. Both not only his new look, which looks like you're basically playing Dark Souls or something, it's absolutely awesome, but it's the way his character feels human. It's the way he feels like a genuine dude who sometimes has skepticism, like, you know, should I really help this dude who's basically not cut out to be an adventurer? I still don't know exactly what his plan was other than potentially having a bit of hunger for flesh, which is a topic we're going to have to discuss later. But it's interesting to see him as a person and just what he's going through, because usually when a character's like, oh, I got killed and now I'm a skeleton. I got killed, now I'm a slime. I got killed, now I'm this. Like, maybe it's a crisis for an episode, but like they get over it pretty quick because they're like, okay, I'm still me. I just got to adjust with this body. Where here, like, yeah, he's still wanting to believe he's normal, but when someone like Lorraine's basically like, hey, I really don't think that's you. It feels like you, but I don't think that's you. And honestly, I don't know. My gut reaction says that when the dragon burned him, he did fully die, which even he admits that he did die. His spirit lingered for some reason, and then the spirit possessed either his skeleton or a different skeleton. I'm not sure exactly, but either way, I feel like that's what happened, and it's a bit of a blessing and a curse mixed into one, which now obviously the evolution of his body is allowing him to be more strong than he could ever imagine with his own memories. But it very well could just be a monster stealing memories. I mean, there's so many fictional creatures throughout media that firmly believe they are this person, and it's just because they stole their memories and looks. So it could be a situation like that. We don't know. All I know is that in this episode, he's already starting to get the hunger for flesh. Now, is he going to start gnawing on arms? Maybe not right away, but the fact that this dude that he bumps into in the dungeon, he has this cut on his arm, and at first he just kind of looks at it, and I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, oh, it's just, you know, he recognized that the dude's wounded. But like, I don't know, man. It felt like a zombie ready to gnaw on him. Like, he was looking at him like he was ordering a bucket of KFC or something. Like, he was ready to eat. It really felt that way, and he seemingly even recognized like shit's going a little weird for him. But because of those thoughts, that seemingly is the drive to him going into the teleport, because he's like, if I just let him die, I really am a monster. So he has to almost prove himself. And then in comes Big Skelly, who honestly, that is a big skeleton. And I'm really excited because really the only thing we saw in this episode action-wise was another slime. And honestly, I thought we were just going to grind slimes. And I was ready to roll my eyes. I was like, please don't just be a show that just does goblins and slimes nonstop and maybe a skeleton here and there. And no, instead, they actually did something pretty cool. Like, yeah, there was also a goblin attack in the flashback, but I mean, she basically blew that thing away like barbecue, and that was awesome. But I'm really excited to see because there's a lot to explore with a world like this. And it's going to be very interesting to see Rent's evolution because right now the goal is to evolve again. His end goal is to be as close to human as possible. If we go back to episode 1, he was talking about being a vampire, which honestly I don't know if is a great idea, especially given how his ghoulish nature is currently acting. But it'll be interesting because I'm not sure if he has any control over it, if it's a little subconscious, because the entire reason he became a ghoul after being a skeleton could be because he wanted to look human. So that could have been the next step. If he does it again, will he just have a little more skin on his ghoulish body? Will he be completely different? We have no idea. It's a completely new scenario. All we know is that there's this evolution going on, and it will be interesting to see, because what I like about the interaction so far, and I think the only thing that was really missing in episode 1, which, like I said last week, I understood why it was like that because it was the intro, but once we got into episode 2 and we had human connections with Rent, and them carrying it into this episode, not only with just Lorraine, but also the blacksmith and seemingly his wife, the idea that, you know, they're very worried for our boy, like, why doesn't he ask us for help? And they realize, like, you know, he must really be under a curse, he must be under something and doesn't want to get other people involved, which is true, right? That was his entire reason for separating last week. And the only reason he went to Lorraine, who apparently is a bit of a theater actor, because I thought she was dead ass asleep last week at the end of the episode. Nope, she heard the special knock, went to her couch and pretended to sleep. And I'm like, okay, I already am in love with this woman. She's awesome. And just, I don't know where we go, right? Because we fight the boss, say this dude survives, right? You know, Rent's saying he can take credit for finding this hidden hole, because now we're going, and don't get hidden hole twisted, I already know someone's gonna make that joke. But the idea that he's gonna take credit for the entrance that he discovered, if they survive that, are we just going to slowly progress through this dungeon and rediscover the dragon? Is there going to be a hidden secret, a hidden power? I have no idea. But the fact that they want you to clearly say, is Rent actually Rent? There's no way to fully say for sure. It could be memories being read from a dead person and pretending you're them without realizing it. It could be him. But even if it actually is him, his new body seemingly has a hunger for flesh, and that could be very bad. The new bodies he gets, is he going to be strong enough to overcome these monstrous urges? And at some point, are they going to be sitting at the dinner table, and what is someone pretending to be Rent just going to lash out at you like a ghoulish monster? We have no idea. Either way, this has been an incredible show, and honestly, I'm feeling like this might actually become one of the handful of shows that I look at as anime of the season quality. Maybe that's too early for some people, it's kind of too early for me as well, but I see within maybe an episode or two, if it keeps up this pace, I might be saying that in a video. But let me know what you're feeling down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have full live reactions over on my Patreon, and while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. Alright, so today we have Missing No Leader, Richard Diaz, Jade, and Crystal Plays, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.